statewide name ID and money from all over the place, but Randy Tate worked hard, and he beat Buster Roulette here in the 25th District. And so Bob Tate was a great man. I'm glad he came tonight. My assistant Boy Scout leader growing up, Cameron Leffler, I was hoping he was going to be here tonight, but Cameron is somebody that I wanted to mention as a hero as well. He grew up in Boy Scout Troop 174, where he was mentored by my grandpa and by others. And he served in the Marine Corps, and then he became a King County Sheriff's Deputy. And after September 11th, he re-enlisted in the Marine Corps and served 2 tours of duty in Iraq as an infantry squad leader. He earned a Purple Heart during combat in Fallujah. Last year, back with the Sheriff's Department, he rescued a drowning man from the Green River and carried him half a mile to safety. These are the kinds of people, the generous people, who have made this community great. For these past few months, I have fallen more deeply in love with Puyallup than ever before. I've met people who sat in my great-grandpa's science class at Aylen, or in my great-grandma's kindergarten class at Meeker, or who talked with Grandpa Ed at Wildwood, who watched my dad run the ball at Sparks Stadium years ago, or who volunteered in PTA with my mom. And then I sat on Conrad TV's front porch in northwest Puyallup and heard him tell a history of the neighborhood where I grew up, 60 years of history. And today, I know better than ever why my Grandpa Ed always says that it's the people who make a community, and every person matters. Every day I go out door to door, I meet people from every walk of life and every point of view, who wake up every day and live their lives as best they can. I hear stories about the daily struggles of good men and women. I talked to a woman in Edgewood whose family business can't make it in this state's business climate, and she's thinking of starting over in Idaho. She's not the only one. Last week I got a call from a guy in downtown Puyallup, and he said he's a business owner, and he's had it with our state's bureaucracy, and wonders whether he can make his next house payment. His family farmed in the valley for generations, but he too mentioned Idaho. I'm fascinated by these people as they go about their lives, their course of human events. They carry within them this great drive to live with purpose. They struggle each day to provide for their families, to serve their neighbors, to make some little mark on the world. These are the generous people. And these are the kinds of people in whom our state's founders placed their confidence when they wrote the opening words of our state constitution, in Article 1, Section 1. They wrote, "All political power is inherent in the people, and governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed, and are established to protect and maintain individual rights." Isn't that beautiful? And isn't it a shame that our lawmakers in Olympia have forgotten that? They voted to overturn Initiative 960, which said that 2/3 is required for a tax increase. So they raised our taxes $800 million and passed a budget that under the circumstances is silly. But they did not and never will repeal Article 1 of our state constitution, because government still derives its just powers from the consent of the government. And that means that the people of the 25th District have a choice in this year's election. I believe that government should live within its means, just as you and I have to live within ours. I believe that we can set priorities in state government in order to fund our most important public needs, public safety, K-12 education, and care for the most vulnerable. And I'm convinced that we can do that without raising taxes. I believe that we can do it without sacrificing other public priorities. I believe that we can fully fund K-12 education while introducing some badly needed reforms to make our education system more competitive. I believe that we can protect our environment through public and private conservation without further stifling our economy under burdensome regulations. I believe that we can secure affordable health care for more people without a centralized federal model, but with reforms at the state level, like rolling back mandates and limiting costly lawsuits. Those are a few of the things that I'll advocate in Olympia. I'll take the work seriously, but I'm counting on you never to let me take it too seriously. You know, Psalm 2 says that God looks down from heaven at the rulers of the earth and laughs. And I can't imagine anything funnier than the legislature when it's in session. And we should never lose our awareness that the really serious stuff is what happens in families, and churches, and small businesses, and communities. Those institutions form the substance of liberty. And I happen to believe that those institutions are a heck of a lot better at caring for people than any bureaucracy ever was. sometimes of our lives to have that precious thing called liberty. On the other hand, we must be free to love and give, to serve our families and our communities as it is only possible to do when we were not forced to do so by the tax collector. Liberty runs in our blood around here. One summer day, about 95 years ago, summer of 1915, the headline on the Puyallup Valley Tribune announced that a special train was coming. Word spread around town, and that afternoon, everyone in Puyallup dropped what they were doing. The schools were out for the summer already. The shops closed early, and the people made their way downtown to see a train. A train carrying the Liberty Bell. And what did that bell mean? Why did it mean so much to those people? What about it drew them out along the railway to see it and to join their neighbors in celebrating? Well, the Liberty Bell stood for an idea. It's the idea that each generation must affirm. The idea contained in our Declaration of Independence and echoed in those beautiful words from our state constitution. That all human beings are created equal, and that we must give our consent to be governed. It is a message that needs to be spread, like word spread around town that day 95 years ago that the Liberty Bell was coming. The Liberty Bell itself tells us the message that needs to be spread in the words of Scripture. Proclaim liberty throughout the land unto the inhabitants thereof. So this evening, I'm thankful to God that the land in which I have chosen to stand for public office is a free one. And I pledge to you my best efforts to help keep it that way. And I thank you all for your support.